Oh, hey. Didn't see you there. Just catching up on reading. Close personal friend of mine, Ron Burgundy, wrote a hell of a book. It's been quite a wild ride here on UA Overtime, ever since my other close personal friend of mine, Jeff Lehans, gave me the keys to the castle back during my freshman year as I've taken over as executive producer here. I started a whole new show, Double Overtime, which is held down by my two good friends and my all-stars, Connor Delaney and Michael Wolf. And it's bittersweet this season because it's going to be their last season before they graduate, and my last season as executive producer before I move on to take the helm as president of the network. I've had this message on that's been really hurt me, that I really want to get out to the fans and most importantly America. And I came up, and it was all me. I stayed true, it was all me. And with minimal help, it was still all me. And I just wanted you fans and America to know to stick with us this season, because I guarantee you it's going to be the best season yet. And as my good friend Ron over here always says, stay classy.
Yeah, yeah.
Hello and welcome to another episode of UA Double Overtime. And before I get into anything sports related, I just want to, Mike, how was your break? I didn't really hear from you that much. I thought maybe we had a better relationship than that. I'm a little upset by it.
Well, I got to be honest, man. I have a top 5 group of friends, and I would have to assume that you're not quite there yet. Number 6, maybe. I was watching a lot of football, a lot of basketball, doing my own thing.
So that type of comment from you, I don't know if I can really.
You act like I shouldn't have a relationship with other people outside of the workplace. Like you're supposed to be my co-host, my best friend, my boyfriend. I don't. What do you want?
Someone else. Someone's got to come off. I gotta call this one. I gotta call this one already today, guys.
Just go. Get over here!
It's good to see you, buddy.
I missed you, man.
How you doing, huh?
I'm good.
Hey,
I'm all right.
Let's do a show.
Hey, why not? Why not?
Let's do a sports show. We're back. Quick delay. I'm Connor Delaney.
And I'm Michael Wolf.
Thank you for joining us. We have a Super Bowl edition. I'm going to get my mic back on here. We're still rolling. We still rolling in there? All right. We're good.
I'd like to welcome in the brand new staff in there.
New staff, new semester, new me.
New season, last season. Hopefully this is the best staff we've ever had.
Absolutely.
This is the most important show of the year, the Super Bowl edition, UA Double Overtime, and our unit production manager choose to, call out sick today. I don't know. I think that's a little bit weird.
Bush League.
I think that might have a pink slip waiting under her door.
We'll have a conversation with that. But anyways, welcome to the first episode of this semester. Mike Wolf by my side as usual. We got a Super Bowl edition. We got a big game coming up this Sunday.
Yeah. I believe it's the
Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl?
The Super Bowl. The two teams,
number 48, XLVIII.
In the great state of New York, the Empire State itself.
Well, before you mention about where it is, being in New York, it's actually not in New York.
It's in New Jersey.
It's in New Jersey.
You're right.
And a lot of people from New Jersey are getting a little upset about that. New York's getting all the hype, everything. They're getting everything good.
Well, what do you want?
And Jersey's not getting anything out of it. But you know what I have to say about that? Shut up. It's 2 New York franchises playing that stadium. They own that stadium. MetLife owns the naming rights for the next 14 years.
There's only one. If that's the case, there's only one.
We own New Jersey.
There's only one New York football team.
I don't know.
And that is my beloved Buffalo Bills. We'll see you in the Super Bowl next season, guys.
It's funny. It's funny you bring that up. This is the first Super Bowl since 1990 where it's a number 1 offense against the number 1 defense. Do you remember when the last time that was?
I don't.
It was
I'm thinking, this is my guess. Rich Gannon led the Oakland Raiders. No. All right, then.
It was the 1990 season, New York football Giants versus the Buffalo Bills. Do you know who won that game? I'm curious if you remember who won that game. I know you're a big Buffalo fan, and I'm a big Giant fan. But
Back to this year's Super Bowl, we're going to talk. The Giants won. Dude. I know the Bills have never won a Super Bowl. We got to rub it in. Thank you very much. Back to this game, we got the Denver Broncos and the #1 offense, Peyton Manning. A hell of a season, broke the touchdown record, the passing record, versus a Seattle team that has been exceeding expectations, to say the least.
Definitely.
Marshawn Lynch is the heartbeat to that team. Russell Wilson playing extremely well, and that defense, that secondary, guys like Richard Sherman. Mike, what do you want to get into first? I mean, there's been a lot of controversy about Richard Sherman, Marshawn Lynch not doing media day, Skittles. Or we could just talk game. We could talk logistics. What you tell me. I'm gonna hand this one off to you.
I feel like what everyone wants to hear about is Richard Sherman.
I like that.
Am I wrong on that?
Am I wrong?
You know what? I have to say something. It's the NFL is becoming one of the wimpiest sports I've ever gotten to watch.
Absolutely.
And you know what? Maybe in 50 years there's not even going to be an NFL. And if there is, it's not going to be the same football we watch today.
Yeah.
There might not even be tackling after that.
Yeah.
I mean, now they want to stop smack talking. I grew up on smack talking. When I was 4 years old, I was smack talking everybody in kindergarten, first grade, second grade. People hated me. People loved me. What are you going to do? But the thing is, when you smack talk, what you have to do is back it up, or else you can't smack talk anymore after that.
And he does.
And he does back it up. So people that have a problem with him talking after the game, saying what he wants to say, saying he's the #1, hey, until someone beats him, he's #1. He has every right to say that.
And I agree with everything you had to say. And to add on to that, he's a guy that plays with passion. And that's and the derivative of passion is emotion. He's an emotion guy, and he exerts that into passion. He plays with passion, and you can't blame him for that. It was a heat-of-the-moment thing, an NFC Championship game. The guy came from – he's got a degree from Stanford. He didn't just – Stanford –
3.9 GPA.
Stanford's a tough place to recruit players because they need players that are able to complete the school regimen of the process. And he went through Stanford, like you said, 3.9. He's not – he gets labeled as a thug or a bad guy. He's a passionate player who works hard, who does his job. And Crabtree, to be honest, is a sorry receiver. He didn't do much that game.
During that game especially, yeah.
And he was a heat of the moment, and Aaron Andrews was a little thrown off, so he could have handled it a little better. But what do you want the guy to do?
With a big cornerback like Richard Sherman, I'd be a little thrown off if I was Aaron Andrews also. A nice little young blonde, with the microphone in her face, screaming at her. It's a little scary. You don't know how to handle that. But, what do you want? Do you want someone coming in there and saying the exact same interview answers that we hear every single game?
That's what Peyton Manning's for.
It's a great game. I love my team. I couldn't have done without my team. No one wants to hear that. That's not the truth. We want to hear the truth. We want to hear how you feel. Otherwise, there's no point for you to be even getting interviewed. That's a whole other part of the game is how you feel, your emotions, what you have to say, and smack talking. Would he be smack talking if I'm sorry, the 49ers quarterback would have thrown it to another receiver?
No, he tested Sherman in the end zone last play of the game. Stupid decision. Sherman got a hand on the ball and caused the game-ending play. I don't like all the bad media that Sherman is getting around his name. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a great player. And he plays the game with passion. And I think we need more players in the NFL like Richard Sherman.
I agree. I think another player that I would like to talk about is Derek Coleman.
Okay.
He's legally deaf.
Did you see that Duracell commercial?
I cried.
Gives me chills.
Watched it 10 minutes before we came on set, and
That's why
I got chills. I had tears. That's why I'm all so antsy right now. But it's a great thing. They tweeted out a letter written.
Trust the power within.
Trust the power within. They tweeted out a letter that a little girl wrote to him who's also legally deaf saying, thank you so much. She's like, it proves to me that anything is possible even when you're deaf. Mm-hmm. And he tweeted her back. He wrote a letter back saying, some inspiration. And you need a lot of players like that. There's good players like that. You don't need players that are show off.
That part of the video
trying to very flashy.
That part of the video where you see the hearing aid come out of his ear when he's in high school.
Yep.
And then he, imagine going through something like that and then facing that adversity, and rather than just giving up, he finds the solution. He tapes his ears up. He finds any way he can possibly do it. It's a very humbling video.
Exactly, fighting the adversity. And there's one quote in it that really gets me every single time, and it's when he says, they told me I should quit, but I've been deaf since I was 3 years old, so I couldn't hear them.
Exactly.
That was great.
It's chilling. Let's transition from a guy who likes the attention and the spotlight on him from Richard Sherman to a guy not so much, Marshawn Lynch. He was at God, I love him. I love beast mode. He was only at media day for 6 minutes, a total of 6 minutes. Did what he had to do. He just had to show up. He didn't want to get another fine because he got a fine in the regular season for never talking to the media. What do you make of this? Are you okay with Marshawn Lynch, reacting this way to the media and not really being that, gung-ho to have conversations with the media?
I mean, I think he can do whatever he wants. I don't.
He produces results.
He produces results. Either way, he's getting publicity. What I don't like is that they're forced to talk to the media. I mean, yeah, I'm sure if they weren't forced to, if they weren't fines provoking them to, that a lot of them wouldn't. But you know what? If he doesn't want to talk, he doesn't want to talk. That's not his prerogative. His mindset is playing football, winning the Super Bowl, not answering the questions, not having to think about what's okay to say, what's not okay to say. He doesn't. I bet if he were to talk, he'd get fined for saying the things he would. So he's playing smart by not talking at all and just taking a smaller fine, because he's definitely still going to get fined, even though he did talk a little bit.
What did he say? He goes, I don't play football. I don't run to be tackled. I just run. Whoever wants to get in my way, like, God bless him. But like, you can't blame the guy. He's not one to talk to the media. He got so much. Oh God, a guy who left Buffalo got done so much. Thanks, Marshawn, for really throwing that dirt in my wound. But
yeah, he was drafted by Buffalo. I don't know.
Buffalo 12th
I don't know
pick.
What they were thinking.
Didn't play very well in Buffalo. Came to Seattle and just had a huge. The guy's only 27 years old. He had a huge resurgence here in Seattle.
Well, who does play well in Buffalo? No one. I don't know.
Jim Kelly.
Probably should have came to the Giants.
Jim Kelly. But let's one more topic before we take our break. Then we'll get into more game plan. We'll break down the game a little more for our second half. But Peyton Manning, obviously a huge story, that comeback. Didn't quite make it to the Super Bowl last season. This season he came out, probably had one of the greatest seasons in NFL history, if probably the best season. If he caps it off with a Super Bowl, not only will that go down as the greatest season in NFL history, but would he go down as the greatest quarterback in NFL history? Would that be the cherry on top?
That's legitimately one of the biggest questions in NFL right now. Him and Tom Brady, and it's hard for me to even decipher. I mean, he did.
I feel like Brady's not in the same category as him.
55 touchdowns this season, which surpassed Brady's 50. 5,477 passing yards, which surpassed Drew Brees' 5,476, which is very impressive. But I mean, if he wins this Super Bowl, he can go down as the greatest ever. But then again, there's John Elway, who also has 2 Super Bowls. Is he going to be a little salty if they win, even though that is his team?
I don't think so, because I think Elway looks at a perspective where he wanted to adamantly bring Peyton in because he knew what Peyton was capable of doing with that organization. And Peyton's so much different than Elway. And Elway's the kind of guy that's going to get you down the field, grind it out. Peyton's such a mastermind when it comes to just like...
Oh, he pieces the whole game together before it even happens.
He plays the chessboard and has it all already figured out. And Omaha.
Omaha.
But I think...
42's the mic.
I think he'll go down as the greatest quarterback in NFL history if he does indeed win the Super Bowl. I think it's going to be a great game. We'll get more and dive into it, dissect it a little more the second half. Mike, any last words before we break away?
Yeah, he's got to go down as the best. Can't let Tom Brady do that. No one from New England.
No one from New England. Guys, thanks for tuning in this first half. We'll see you again in a short break here.
They told me it couldn't be done, that I was a lost cause. I was picked on and picked last. Coaches didn't know how to talk to me. They gave up on me. Told me I should just quit.
Don't move until I move. Don't move until I move.
And the last pick is...
They didn't call my name. Told me it was over. But I've been deaf since I was 3. So I didn't listen. And now I'm here with a lot of fans in the NFL cheering me on. And I can hear them all.
Welcome back to our second half of UA Double Overtime. Speaking of halves, we had a little halftime show of ourselves, but I want to talk about this Super Bowl's halftime. And what it is Bruno Mars is opening up and headlining for Red Hot Chili Peppers. How are they not the top dogs in that category? Why is it Bruno Mars singing Grenade? That's not a Super Bowl song.
Who's the main? Bruno Mars.
Bruno Mars.
Chili Peppers are headlining for Bruno
Yes,
Mars.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
yes.
no, you confused me. Yeah, that's Bush League. Red Hot Chili Peppers have been doing it for how long now? Stadium Arcadium is one of my favorite albums. I was actually just listening to Danny California before I came in. Really really gets me pumped up. But I mean, Bruno Mars, you can't. He's what's relevant right now. So whatever. During the halftime show, I'm not really much of a halftime show kind of guy. I'm in the kitchen, getting another bowl of chili, scooping some mac and cheese. So I'm not really.
Mac and cheese. I don't know if I've ever had mac and cheese at a Super Bowl event, but
you do mac and cheese in the bowl with the chili. You put it.
We got to go right now. I'm not ready for that right now.
You coming?
Either way,
you're coming through.
Either way, I was never a big halftime guy myself until I saw Nelly do the halftime show. With
JT and Janet Jackson.
Britney Spears.
JT and Janet Jackson goes down as in my book as the greatest.
That one. Well, someone from the Red Hot Chili Peppers already took note and possibly admitted to wanting to do that during the halftime show this year. He had to take it back real quick, said he'll keep everything in his pants. But
I like that.
I like that a lot.
Let's get between the trenches before and after the Super Bowl. Mike, let's break down this game. What do you...
Number one, we got Joe Buck and Troy Aikman doing it. Thank God for Joe Buck. Can we get rid of this guy already? I don't get it. I can't. I have to put the game
Why
on
aren't we doing
and
it?
watch the game. We should be doing it live
that'd be
at MetLife Stadium. I have no problem with that.
Wow, that'd be a
Jesus,
game.
get this guy off the air. I'll take Troy Aikman, though.
Give me a prediction first, and then we'll break down the game. Who do you have winning the game? And who do you have winning the game and why?
I have winning. I mean, when you want to talk about the biggest win on the field, we're talking about the coin flip. I'm going to take
heads or tails.
Heads. I never do tails. Tails never fails. That's not true.
It's not true.
It's a 49% favorite.
Heads. I want to see JFK staring at me when I win that toss. All right, not some freaking eagle.
All right, but who's winning the game? I have to be honest. It's going to be a good game. Like we've already said, number one defense versus number one offense. Who's going to win? It's going to be a
Does defense win championships?
Defense does win championships.
I think a big part of the Seahawks' success and why they do so well, why they beat San Francisco, is playing in the 12th man in Seattle, playing at that stadium. I really think that's their number one advantage. I think San Fran was the better team overall. I think if they played on neutral field, San Francisco wins that game. But playing in that environment, and I think traveling from the West Coast to New York, whatever, they've been there, they've been practicing, but
they're both traveling from the West Coast to New York. I want to make that clear.
You're making that clear. I like that. But I still think that the home field advantage that Seattle gets is much more of an advantage than it was for the Broncos beating New England. I think Denver is the better team, more well-rounded team. It's going to be tough because Peyton and that passing offense, how are they going to fare against that secondary?
Well, what you say with the 12th man, it is the Super Bowl. Although they are not home, they're going to be at MetLife Stadium. There's going to be screaming from the crowd no matter what.
What pace is there going to be for that game? Is it going to be a game where they're handing the ball off to Marshawn and he's allowed to control the tempo? Or let's say Peyton gets an astronomical lead halfway through the first quarter and it's 21-7. And you can't be handing the ball to Marshawn every play, and then you got to see what Russell Wilson can do. So I think that's going to be a huge factor. And to say the Broncos' defense is bad, you got guys like Champ Bailey are healthy now. Von Miller's out, but they still have that good defensive line.
I would never say that the Denver defense is bad because I don't believe that's true at all. But what I do want to say is, where the pace lies, I think, Russell Wilson coming in as a second-year quarterback, bringing them to the Super Bowl. I think that proves himself enough where he could handle some pressure. He could do what it takes to win the game, whether he's back or.
But he's going head-to-head with the greatest. He's not going with Kaepernick right now. He's not going with Kaepernick, who's fumbling the football, throwing interceptions the last two drives of the game. He's going against a Peyton Manning, a guy who's been there, a guy who's been doing it for years. A guy who's not going to make those same mistakes that Kaepernick made down that stretch.
Russell Wilson.
That cost the game.
That's very true.
The Seattle won that game because of those mistakes that Kaepernick made in that fourth quarter. That fumble he had, those two back-to-back picks he had in those two drives. Peyton's not going to make those mistakes. So is Russell Wilson going to be able to show up and, I want to use the word compete, but.
Well, you know what, you're right. If Peyton Manning comes out and plays his average, that's going to beat Russell Wilson's average every day of the week. So Russell Wilson needs to come out and play possibly one of his best games ever just to win this game. And at the same time, Russell Wilson does have a lot of weapons. So does Peyton Manning. They both have their weapons on defense. They both have their weapons on offense.
I think Denver's going to win the game. I'm rooting for Denver. I want to see Peyton Manning. I want to see a great game. But I just think Denver is the more all-around team. I think Peyton Manning, he's studying harder than, he wants this. He wants this more than anyone else wants this. He knows this is going to contribute to his legacy.
He might need this for his legacy.
He needs this for his legacy, absolutely. He can't lose this game in the Super Bowl after the season he just had. That being said, Seahawks, any chance they have to win this game, they need to get some 3-and-outs. They need to stop Peyton early.
Definitely.
They need to get Marshawn in a rhythm, a tempo, and not try to get in a sling out with Peyton Manning in that offense.
But 3-and-outs are very tough to get with Peyton Manning, that's for sure. But you know what? I kind of want to see the Seattle Seahawks win this. They're almost owed this after what happened in 2005. The fans believe they deserve that win. I believe they deserve that win. The city of Seattle hasn't won professional championship since 1979 with the Seattle Supersonics, who are no longer there, who are now the Oklahoma
City Thunder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
So,
I agree.
I think they're owed a little bit of love. I think they deserve it. You know, the Broncos, they'll have their share. You know, I don't think this is Peyton Manning's last hurrah. I think he's got another season in him.
X factor each side of the ball. Who do you have?
X factor on each side of the ball. Marshawn Lynch.
Huge X factor.
Easily. I mean, offense-wise, easily. No one could tackle him. You saw him a couple years ago against the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah.
No one could tackle him. He stiff-armed 2 people in the face, knocked to the ground,
X
broke
factor.
6 tackles, still scored the touchdown, 45-yard touchdown.
On Denver.
Peyton Manning. Goes without saying. And then, you know, No. Moreno, I mean, don't get me wrong, you know, the best running back is on the Seattle Seahawks side, but don't slight No. Moreno whatsoever.
My
that
X
is
factors
a very good running back.
Are the receivers, other than Demaryius Thomas, so Wes Welker and Decker if they show up, and the special teams for Seattle. We see them make some big plays. We see, you know, if they can pin Peyton inside the 5-yard line a few times, make him have a 95-yard drive, get some 3-and-outs there, and then, you know, get good field position and just feed it to Marshawn. I think that's really going to control the game. I have Denver winning the game, though, 24-21.
24-21. I have Seattle actually winning 27-24.
You heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first. It's our second half. We just broke the game down. Come back for our big finish.
Yeah, the Knicks got some team, you know, Carmelo Anthony, Amari Stoudemire. You know, I can't even think about that. How's it going, guys? I know here on UA Double Overtime we're a sport-related show, but today I want to talk about our youth. And a big problem with our youth today is marijuana. But what I want to know is, does our youth have the strength to say no?
UA Overtime, #1 in sports and #1 in fighting the war on drugs.
Welcome back to our last segment of the show. Before we do our big finish, we're getting a controversial topic. Roger Goodell came out and Pete Carroll's endorsed it, saying that medical marijuana might be, a use in the NFL as long as doctors can back it and say it'll help concussions, head injuries, things like that. They wouldn't be opposed to allowing players to smoke marijuana. Mike, what's your opinion on this?
My take on that is, #1, you know UA Double Overtime's take. We are #1 in fighting the war against drugs. And I will stand by that till the next day of my life. You know, every single day. Until it's legal, I'm manhunting those people, finding out who's selling it illegally, who's smoking illegally, and making sure that that gets off the streets, because we have young kids on the streets that we don't need that getting in their hands. With that being said, if it can help players, if it can help heal them for any type of injury, why not?
Why not?
If it helps, use it. That's what I think. But until then,
I agree. I agree with everything you had to say. If it's something that research goes into showing that it can help the players out, so be it.
And who knows? Maybe they'll even like it.
Bring us to our big finish, Mike.
Oh, we'll jump right into the big finish. All right, #1 for the big finish, we're going to talk about one of the biggest matchups on the field.
Whew.
It's Richard Sherman and Demaryius Thomas. Who you got?
I got to go Thomas just strictly by the guy who's throwing him the ball, Peyton Manning. Who'd you take? Sherman Thomas. Who you got?
I'm taking Richard Sherman. I think #1.
I like that. He's got a lot of pressure on him right now. Is No. Moreno going to cry before the national anthem?
He is not going to cry. He is going to pour buckets of water out of his eyeballs. That's what's going to happen. I don't know if you saw that.
Fair enough.
All right. Best coach in the Super Bowl, Pete Carroll or John Fox?
I gotta go Pete Carroll, man. That guy's he's the man. You know, like you said, we were just talking about for the segment. I'll let you share the fun fact about Pete Carroll. And if
the fun fact about Pete Carroll is that if he wins the Super Bowl, he will be the first coach in history to win a national championship in the NCAA and also win a Super Bowl.
Love it. And Skittles or Starbursts? What do you got?
I'm a big Starburst guy. I'm a big Skittles guy. You know, it
Gotta go
depends.
Skittles. For the sake of Marshawn Lynch, if he was listening right now, he'd be real disappointed. So
You didn't let me finish. I love Skittles. Skittles
All
are my
right.
thing. You know, he's got the Seattle flavor now. But who's winning the Super Bowl MVP?
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning. Simple.
I mean, you heard it here first. I'm going to have to go with Peyton Manning. Whether they lose or win, I think he might even win the Super Bowl MVP.
No, that's a bold guess. Pete Carroll wins MVP if Seattle wins. Imagine. But guys, thank you for tuning in. It was a great Super Bowl edition. It's great to be back here with my good friend Mike Wolf.
You know, I want to.
It's gonna be a great semester.
I have a lot of thanks for our new cast. It's
gonna be a great semester.
Back there, you know, helping out the most. You know, it's probably the best
Those
we've
who
ever
showed
had
up.
so far. Those who showed up.
Those who showed up.
You know, we will exclude all names Dana from not coming. But catch you later if you give us a good pass.